We also have, I think, Dante Mills, who is a private pilot who lives in the area. Dante, if you can hear me, I'm curious because I'm wondering if you have flown out of the North Philly airport, if you have flown this route, you live in the area. What can you tell us about the crash? What are you curious about in this?
This is a congested area, and I think that's what everybody should know. You can't really tell from these pictures, but Philadelphia is a city of row homes where all of these homes are connected. They're right on top of each other. So when you talk about six of those homes being on fire, the threat of that entire block being on fire was real. And when you talk about 6 o'clock at night, there's activity there, a lot of activity in that area. It's the Cotman and Bustleton area, which has that strip mall and a lot of restaurants. There's people all around that area. So to be going about your life and to have a plane crash in an active neighborhood, we're not talking about a field or anywhere like that. This is an active neighborhood where people were living their lives. The devastation is going to be real and the terror is going to be real. I do want to just remind people that it is safe to fly planes. I know that this is the second plane crash this week, but it is safe. And I'm an attorney. I do aviation law. And statistically, it's safer to be in a plane than in a car. But I know how frightening it is when you have no control in the air. You don't want these things to happen. And you hope that lessons can be learned so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and as an aviator attorney and a pilot, what do you think, Dante? I mean, what's your when you see this video and you hear what happened and you hear that, there was the transmission between the air traffic controllers and the plane. They responded once and then not again. I mean, this thing got to 1,600 feet and then literally it just went into a dive.
It fell out of the air. And I'm thinking back to my experience, and I know that this pilot purportedly had over 1,000 hours, that's a lot of training. So they should be able to maneuver. But one of the most difficult things to do when you're flying a plane is takeoff. And then also slow flight when you're trying to navigate before getting up to a certain speed. And my question, and I know it's early in the investigation, is was there a stall out? Was there the angle that they came off the ground? Was it too high or too low where they couldn't get that air underneath the wings? Because you see the plane falling straight to the air. And the problem is it happened shortly after they took off, so they weren't high enough to recover. One thing that we do as pilots is we practice stall outs. We get up in the air and we cut the engine just in case so we can learn what to do. But you usually have height that you can maneuver and try to find a landing ground. Knowing that area, I will tell you that the boulevard, it's Roosevelt Boulevard, is a major street and it's wide. And I'm curious as to whether or not he felt the plane going down the pilot and tried to steer towards that wide street and figured that was his best chance for survival because that's the area where the plane crashed. But the fact that it happened so soon after takeoff, it's really not a lot you can do because you don't have a lot of space and a lot of height to maneuver and find the best place to bring the plane to the ground safely.
And Dante, one more quick question before I bring in the rest of the panel, because we know they responded saying that, yes, they knew they were supposed to go to 290, right? Well, you look at the location of where the crash happened, they came back the other way. So something happened, something either they tried to correct or something disastrous happened in flight. But it's interesting that they were not on the heading. I mean, they went up, and even if something disastrous happened, you would think they would be on the heading they were given.
You would. And one thing, again, in training, what we learn is you don't try to turn back around. That shouldn't happen. What you do is you take a flight path, you wrap around in a circle that allows you to keep that airspeed so you don't fall to the ground like this plane is seen falling to the ground in those videos. So if something happened on that plane, and I know there's been talk of maybe the oxygen tank or something like that, and they tried to turn back around quickly, that's a recipe for what happened here, where you lose that airspeed, you can't catch the wind on those wings, and the plane falls to the ground. So I'm curious as if that's something that happened here. Obviously, pilot error is something you hope isn't the cause. Mechanical error a lot of times causes these things, and the pilots are skilled enough, especially with over 1,000 hours, to figure out a way to get the plane to the ground. But that didn't happen here. And I'm curious as to why, because you saw that plane really fall into the ground pretty fast.